630 CHED presents The Announcers. Opinion, personality, passion. The Announcers on 630 CHED, Edmonton's breaking news and conversation station.
Thanks for tuning in to this week's edition of The Announcers. I'm Ryan Jesperson, joined by my regular compatriot Andrew Gross and Brandon Graziano.
Good afternoon. Good morning.
People can watch this on the 630
right.
CHED YouTube channel.
Yes, they can.
And if they tune in, they will see that you are remarkably well dressed today with a pink dress shirt and a pink, what I would describe as a subtle paisley tie.
My philosophy teacher in high school told me that no man ever wears pink at all.
Your philosophy teacher is an idiot.
He says you wear salmon.
Salmon.
It's always salmon.
Pink.
I know.
Pink.
It's pink. It is pink, right? But salmon.
Salmon has an infusion of a subtle infusion of beige.
More importantly, my rule of thumb is never listen to anything a philosophy professor says. Take it with a grain of salt, I think.
Yeah.
Probably. He was actually not too bad. He was a very insightful teacher.
I should apologize for calling him an idiot.
Did you?
Yeah.
Oh,
Well,
yeah, you did. You
did-
blurted that out right off the top. That's
it
right.
spilled out.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
spilled out like a knee jerk and I didn't even let Brandon finish his sentence. He just, what I thought was, he said, my philosophy teacher says men never wear pink. And I was like, idiot. And then he said they wear salmon. And I went, yeah, okay.
right,
Now,
no, fair
now I
enough.
kind of got my tail between my legs.
It was just
and I'm
one of
back.
those things where he was like, you know what, like just in case, because I guess back in my times of high school, could have been even your times of high school too, right? If men wore pink, it was like, oh, unbelievable. That's why he always said, wear salmon.
I find that to be a very insecure perspective.
Yeah,
I
it
didn't
was-
wear pink until I had a girlfriend
Really?
who dressed me.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Pink is a great color for guys to wear.
Hey, I wear
Especially
pink.
if you have the little kerchief there in the pocket to go with it. I don't know that you do.
No,
that'd be
I
a
actually
lot
don't
of
even
pink.
have a pocket in this.
No,
in
in your
this shirt
suit.
right
In your
here.
suit well, you wouldn't put a handkerchief in your shirt pocket, but in your suit jacket pocket.
Oh, right.
you
Yeah,
go.
I got
Pocket
you. I
square
got
is
you.
what
Yeah,
you're
the pocket
Yeah.
square. Yes.
Sorry, I
That's what you're...
didn't mean to throw him off of that kerchief remark.
Kerchief. No, it's all good. Hey, it took
Yeah.
me a long time to actually figure out it wasn't just a flower. It's called a boutonniere.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
So to get back to the point I'm making, you're here.
Wait a minute. You were making a point?
Yes. Oh, well, no, but we still have 21 more
Sure,
minutes,
all right,
so
why
I
not?
better find something to talk about.
Yep.
Do you have a job interview today?
No, absolutely
I
not.
always ask colleagues that are dressed up nicely if they have a job interview.
Especially in media.
Yes.
No, yeah. I mean, I guess there was a little bit of a policy. I mean, when I was producing your show, you know, we want to greet guests properly because
That's
I'm
right.
the first one you want to see.
Yeah.
Or the first person the guest sees, rather. And, I guess it just kind of got into the habit of just dressing nicely for work. Mind you.
Best example of that ever going off the rails was back when I was doing the shift that you're in right now.
Yeah.
And it happened to be, I think, Halloween. And our producer at the time, who is still, I believe, your producer, Kelsey Campbell, but she
yeah.
was Kelsey Wingerick back then. Everyone here was encouraged to dress up. So she dressed up as a clown. But we had the Turkish ambassador to Canada on the show, and apparently they don't celebrate Halloween in Turkey. So he came to the studio, and Kelsey ran down to bring him in, dressed fully flappy shoes, red nose, and everything. And he said to me when he got in the studio, he goes, is it some kind of special occasion? I was like, no, why? In no way did I confirm that there was a reason for this.
She's just a really special person.
Yeah, we do our best to hire everybody.
Yeah. She's on her honeymoon in New Zealand. She'll never hear this.
Yeah. Every time we had to take a break, she just honked a horn. It was really embarrassing.
Are you getting in the spirit of Valentine's Day? Is that what this is all about?
No, I think what ended up happening was that there was a sale at a store,
Oh, okay.
and I thought
nice.
to myself, well, you know what? I'm going to buy something.
You look great.
Oh, thank you. No, I really do appreciate that.
Do you buy based on sales?
Yes, all the time. I'm a very frugal kind of guy, unless it comes to like really nerdy things. But for the most part, when it comes to clothing, absolutely.
But
have
if you
to do it
see
on sale.
something on sale that you wouldn't otherwise buy, do you buy it because it's on sale?
It depends on what exactly you're referring to. If it's clothing, then yeah, probably. But I mean, if I know that I'm not going to wear it at that, like if I'm not going to wear it at all, if it is clothing or if it's shoes, if it's just something that's just there, then probably not.
Because the reason I ask, this is just yesterday, or maybe a couple of days ago. I was watching coverage on the news, and they're talking about office towers that are opening downtown, and how the availability or rentable spaces is changing, and the census data was out this week, and anyway, the point they were making.
I can't wait to see this be brought around to close.
They talked to a number of different business owners in the downtown core and see how they're doing, and some of these long-time businesses are moving. They're saying essentially they're being forced out because they can't afford these spaces anymore.
Right.
They're right in the core, right by the arena.
Yeah.
And one of them was a store, and I could see in the television shot on the newscast these signs, 70% off, 80% off. And I was immediately inclined to go to that store after my next day at work on my way home, until I sat there and thought, why? I don't need anything.
Yeah, aren't you in the process of purging?
Trying to purge.
Yeah.
So what is it that my initial inclination was, I got to go to that store?
Well, I think
80%
everyone
off.
thought that when HMV was announcing its, I guess, Canada-wide closure. Right now, everything is 10% off, and everything is 30% off at all these HMV stores.
10%.
I know 10% doesn't really
Exactly.
do much, right? But that's the thing. All of a sudden, you think, "Ooh, sale! I really need to get
Do you
something
know,
now."
I
When
think
was the last time
HMV
anybody got like a DVD?
Right,
or-
HMV was
or a
closing because
Blu-ray?
nobody liked the stuff they were selling. So I don't know why at 80% off. Well, I'm going to get myself some CDs.
Yeah,
I
well, why
haven't
not,
held a
right?
CD in probably 5 years.
Well, I actually,
Really?
No, serious. That actually surprises me.
I upload
still
my
buy
tunes to
CDs,
my
I'm not
car.
kidding.
I do
Yeah.
because
Wow.
it's
I
think
do.
of it like a book.
Actually,
right?
didn't you just buy a record player?
Yeah, I did.
Well, there you go. Yeah, but think of it like a book, right? You know how when the Kindle came out, every book industry, if you want to call it a book industry, it was like, oh no, now everything's going to go digital. We're not going to actually have any book sales anymore. But book sales still went up because it's the authenticity of
Yeah.
actually turning the page.
People like it.
right? And it's the same thing that I find with a good piece of vinyl. Right, there's vinyl out there, right, or even like a good album that you could find, and even just watching, because not everything is on Netflix, right? Even just watching a good movie.
I don't think
every now
I can
and then.
play a DVD. I don't
Like
think I
you
have
don't have a
anything.
DVD
Yeah, I
player?
don't think I have anything in my house to play a DVD.
Do you not
would
have
do
a game system?
Yeah, it's usually
Boom,
in Hunter's
DVD player.
room, though.
That's fine.
It was a big move for me to get rid of our VHS player years ago.
I remember that day, too.
because I still have and even the basement purge that I just did, or that it's an ongoing thing. Let's be honest. But I had some VHS tapes that I decided not to get rid of, even though now I have no way of playing them, just because the content on those tapes is important to me.
Yeah, I've got a bunch of. I was just looking at that the other day. I wasn't looking to purge or anything, but I was just looking to find a little additional storage space in my office. And there's one shelf of a bookshelf that's all VHS tapes, but it's all of me doing comedy. So I'm not going to throw them out because at some point I'm going to have to take them somewhere, I guess, and get them digitally mastered.
Converted, yeah.
Yeah. But I keep just looking at them and thinking to myself, well, I don't even know for sure what's on those tapes because I can't play them. I don't even know where I'd go to play a VHS.
Yeah. Well, people make big business of transferring
Sure,
stuff to
yeah,
DVD.
I've done it
now. I guess
before.
they're transferring DVDs to
Yeah.
digital files. And you have to wonder, though, what it was like. I mean, Blockbuster Video fell victim to this. Obviously, HMV is. Those that were in the payphone industry. When you see technology essentially obliterating your future business opportunity, where you just go, I can't, aside from maybe people's desire to retain that vintage feel or sort of, the sentimentality of a consumer. Other than that, there's really no future for your business.
No, and I find that really funny to watch, or interesting. I shouldn't say funny to watch, but you take, for example, your example of vinyl, right? So what'll happen is, or drive-in theaters would be another example, or there's a lot of things where nostalgically we think, I really miss those, right?
Yeah.
And there'll be somebody or a group of people who go, we should bring that back. We should open up a vinyl store and just sell nothing but vinyl and tap into that market of nostalgia, or we should open up and it always goes bankrupt again for the same reason it went the way of the dodo bird the first
why
time.
Drive-ins don't work. I would love to go to a drive-in.
But you say that. But
But
if there
I
was
think-
are you going this weekend? If I can tell you where a drive-in is.
well, I mean, it's minus 25. But in the
Right.
summer, sure.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
I honestly would. I'd get 6 of my closest friends in the trunk for free, and
Yeah,
me and my buddy
we all
would
did
drive,
that.
like we all did.
One of my favorite memories as a kid is in high school, pulling up to the drive-thru in High River, Prince Edward Island. 2 of us.
Yeah.
We pulled up, and the guy who we knew went to high school with, he comes out. He goes, yeah, it'll be $5 for each of you, and we'll say 20 for the guys in the trunk.
Because the car is just
exactly.
the rear
kinda
bumper's just
lopsided a
touching
little
the
bit.
ground.
Plus, you can hear them.
But I guess, yeah,
we can't breathe.
technology has kind of brought back in a lot of industries. I mean, one thing we could talk about is the auto industry. We see all the cuts right now in the auto industry. But one thing that really got me was I did a brewery tour in Toronto with Steam Whistle. And Steam Whistle, they actually really try to avoid that. They try to avoid trying to make technology like the end-all and be-all when it comes to making their beer. So they actually have one guy who just sits there and just kind of like closes everything, and it's just, I know it looks like a boring job, but just to have that authenticity still. And there are people there all the time at the Steam Whistle Brewery. It also helps that it's right across the street from where the Blue Jays play at Rogers Center. But there is one guy, you could watch him just kind of press the bottles all the time, every 12 pack. Oh, here we go.
But that business can only get so big.
Yes, and
It's huge.
But I mean, you're right. If you need to, if you want to start hitting like Molson numbers or Labatt numbers, there's not a chance you can do that. I mean, did you see the study that was released on Wednesday here that shows that in the next 2 decades, in the next 20 years, automation will directly eliminate 40%
I did see that.
of current Canadian jobs.
And you're
4
seeing
out
it
of 10
around you
jobs.
already. Go to a fast
Yeah.
food place and place your order on a screen.
Has nothing to do with what government's in place.
Right,
It has nothing to
exactly.
do with minimum
It's just
wage.
the way things are
It's
moving.
Automation.
Yeah.
It's like operators aren't connecting calls anymore, right? It's just not the way it goes.
The only-
A
the only
milkman's not
autom-
delivering anymore.
The only one safe, or the only position safe from automation so far, is those that require instinct, decision making. No, I shouldn't say decision making because computers can make decisions, but those that take a level of skill where
a
you
human
have to,
element.
Yeah, you sort of have to make a decision that could be based on a lot of different factors or just a feel, that kind of thing. But eventually, with artificial intelligence, I'm sure they'll be able to replicate that, probably with better success.
Like, could your visit to the doctor be a visit talking to an iPad
Right.
that's analyzing, with sensors on your hands?
Well, and that could be a thing. Yeah, do we eliminate the position of the triage? Right, you go in there, you fill out a form, basically, even though you have no fingers after it got cut off or what have you, but you're trying to fill out a form. I don't
But
think
that might be
think
an
that's the
example
case,
of what
though.
Andrew's talking about, where you need the humans. Because with the triage, I mean, that's the front line in the emergency room admitting. That nurse is trained to look to see. I mean, like, are your pupils dilated, or is there yellow in the whites of your eyes, or
Right.
But we've heard of
are you
retinal
bleeding
scans
out of your
already.
ear?
Sure,
But they ask questions, for example, in triage, how would you describe your pain on a scale of 1 to 10? Some people's 10 is my 3, or, it depends on your...
On
so
tolerance,
tough.
yeah.
Yeah, you're tolerant. Well, or the other way around. Your threshold is different for everybody. But they often ask a number of different questions and that question to kind of determine what your 7 means in terms of, okay, so are you experiencing, your pain level is 7. Are you experiencing this, this, this? No, I'm not experiencing any of those. That's where answering that question simply to a computer, my pain level is 7, it would go, well, at 7, we got to put them right in, right? But you see it all the time. I mean, that's a great example, actually, of a job I can't imagine ever being replaced, I shouldn't say ever, but by artificial intelligence, because you really have to have some sort of insight, experience, and what's the right word I'm looking for? Just
Human interaction
Yeah,
that
yeah.
a robot wouldn't be able to
Right.
have, right? Yes, there are robots out there already that could do plenty of things. I mean, there are some that could, they could diagnose you, right? They could say, by like a random scan from the prick of your finger, right? Oh, now we could tell you that your blood pressure's up, or your cholesterol is a little bit high. But at the same time, yes, you need that. You need that human experience, that human interaction.
think about that. What's the website you go to, or the
WebMD.
Yeah, WebMD.
Don't ask how I know that.
If
but
you
yeah.
go to WebMD, and my kids go there quite often. I'm not really sure why.
It is a mistake to go to WebMD.
I'll tell
I
you
just
what.
wanna let
Everybody,
you know.
everybody has cancer.
Yeah. Or everybody's
Everybody.
got leprosy, or
Right.
everyone I got a real big headache. Well, you might be close to an aneurysm soon, right? And it's like, oh wow,
that's
right?
bad, yeah.
Well, all of a sudden you might develop cysts, and it's like, what? From a headache, right? It's bad.
Yeah.
You want to talk about the human element being replaced by robots? I mean, there's cashiers, there's manufacturers, assembly line workers. There's articles online about sex robots replacing sex workers.
we did that story, actually.
I mean, how crazy do you want this future to look?
I know. And that one there, actually, just because of the way my mind works, I would totally envision, especially after watching a whole season of Westworld, that there could easily be, robotic sex partners. The question, again, because of the way my mind works, is it cheating if you have sex with a robot?
What a
Well,
question!
that's
What a question!
Isn't that interesting?
That's really meta there, buddy.
How?
I don't know.
Well, I mean, how? What are we? How are we allowed to talk about? Yeah, I think we're allowed. I mean, okay. So this is the time, parents, where this show's going to transition a little bit. We're going to talk about some things for mommies and daddies for a second,
right? Because if you think about it, and Carol and I, we were watching Westworld. That's how this conversation came up, and we had read that article that you're talking about. And so I just posed it to my wife that, well, if that were possible, would that constitute cheating to your mind? And she said, absolutely yes.
She did.
She did.
Okay.
Which I find interesting, and I don't agree with, because there's other less
self-stimulation.
Exactly. That's not cheating, right?
Or is it?
Well,
Some people believe it is.
Really?
If self-stimulation takes away your appetite to sexually interact with your partner, then you could. Wow, but cheating is such a loaded word.
Exactly.
I
remember this one case, and it's always in the States, right? Where it was one of those cases of
usually Florida.
Yeah, you know what? It might have been Florida, but it was a case of what we call revenge, right? It was I guess, quote unquote, revenge porn. And essentially what happens is that there was one guy who received pictures from an ex-girlfriend, and it somehow got uploaded online. But the reason why that happened was because the guy had a little bit more of, I guess, a libido than the woman did, and the woman sent him pictures to be like, look, I don't want you looking on the internet, so here are pictures of me to get you by. Right? And the case went back and forth, and the guy actually got hacked, and the pictures just ended up online
So
just
it's not
because of the way.
revenge porn then.
No, it was. That was how it was brought forward,
I see.
right?
Yeah.
But I guess getting back to it, the reasoning was that this woman thought that he was cheating by just looking up images on the internet,
Like
or even videos on the internet.
Pornography is a huge
exactly.
issue in a lot of relationships.
Yeah,
It's a major issue in a lot of relationships.
And this one thought that it was, and so here you go, and that's end of story. I guess.
think for a lot of people, what it comes down to in conversations about what constitutes cheating is when emotions come into the mix.
Well,
like, for example, when people say, because we ask on talk shows, you talk about things like is inappropriate texting with someone else, or is it an inappropriate workplace relationship? Are these things cheating?
For that matter,
even if there's no physical interaction,
is thinking about cheating,
right?
And sometimes
Is
you
having
hear
a profile on a website cheating,
right? And one partner will tell another partner that the worst part of it is not the cheating, but the lying about it, which I can't honestly wrap my mind around. Well, obviously you're going to lie about it.
There's two common themes here, then, right? Then it's cheating and lying. That's dishonesty, right? So maybe it is. If you're lying about it and it's dishonest, then maybe it is considered cheating.
So if you're going to if the sex robot thing becomes a thing, and this article was in the context of Amsterdam and the sex trade in that Dutch city. But if it became a thing where and I'm not even trying to be funny, but if there was the equivalent of like arcades.
Sure.
They're sort of like brothels with sex robots, but it's not human interaction, and you don't lie about going there.
They even have bumper paddles. So
jeez.
My mind is racing ahead
but
to the possibilities.
It sounds like a ridiculous sort of a thing where you'd go, this is not going to be for another 500 years into the future. But the fact of the matter is, robots are replacing humans in a number of capacities, and virtual reality is getting so. I mean, never even mind actual interaction. Pelvic bone versus stainless steel,
right?
With a robot.
Yeah.
What about virtual reality adventure? That's another thing where.
And what would be the impact going down the road? Say that technology were absolutely readily available, cheap, and accessible.
Well, how about it's safer?
What would be the impact to population? Because don't many people get married specifically because they want to have a regular partner?
Right.
And that oftentimes then results in offspring, right? So if whatever percentage of the population didn't have
population numbers are going to dip because
I think
many
they might.
people are getting off with virtual reality.
But at the same time, I think it might be safer, right? Because sex workers are perceived to have, unfortunately, they have STIs, right? Or STDs, whatever you want to call them, though, right? I mean, it's the perception, though, right?
Maybe it's some people's. Yeah, I don't know about that.
But what you're saying is
that if it is a sex worker, like if it's a robot sex worker, that nothing is going to happen.
So wait a minute, are you saying that and I would agree with this. You're saying that it's possibly a greater leap for somebody to cheat outside of their relationship with an actual person, and less of a leap with a robot. So therefore, cheating might go up if that is cheating. We still haven't
We
determined
haven't.
if
No,
it is.
yeah, I know this conversation is
This
going
is
to
the
go.
most amazing edition of the
Yeah.
announcers that we've ever done.
You'll want to get your Visa statement and hide it if you buy yourself a robot. Where would you even
You'd
store a robot?
buy tokens. You'd
Oh,
put a
yeah,
$20
you're going to the arcade. I
thing
forgot.
into
Yeah,
okay.
right?
yeah.
And then tokens, and then you'd plug the machine for as long as you needed, probably.
I
Or
could
however
hide-
long it lasts for
Yeah.
the token, right? Only 5 minutes.
It would be
that's
like
it.
the car wash. It would count down. It would let you know you have like 10
no.
seconds left, and then you'd be patting your pockets looking for more tokens. I need more tokens. We thought we were going to talk about Valentine's Day.
really thought we were gonna talk
and now
about
we're talking
romance.
about sex robots.
Yeah, wow. Did not see that coming.
No.
Just the visual of that clock counting it down. I don't need that kind of pressure.
No one needs that pressure
Come on.
in bed.
Yeah.
Oh, plus, there'd be the added stress of buying a certain amount of time, and saying, for example, I only need 3 minutes.
Yes.
and
And then what are you supposed to talk about?
Yeah, exactly. What do you do with the extra 2?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's hard to relate
Right.
to a sex robot.
Yeah. So having a good day, are you?
Busy.
Do you want I should go get crackers? What do you?
Yeah. What
So
do
maybe
you-
this all goes back to the whole conversation that maybe robots cannot replace.
Yeah.
certain,
Well, maybe
certain
that
fields.
is the one
Yeah.
thing. Sure.
And also a robot can't determine if it is cheating or not either, right?
Like, what if
how-
one robot finds out that you've been going, she smells the other motor oil on you? And can we even air this?
I don't
are
know.
Are we about to
I'm
lose our
not
broadcast
sure.
license?
No, I think we're still within regulation.
Yeah.
We haven't mentioned anything terrible.
No, but this is a real thing.
Sure.
I mean, we're joking around
Yeah,
about
yeah.
it because it's awkward to talk about, and partly because I actually don't know what my position is on this. I will say on the record that I would never
No.
employ a sex robot.
No,
I
no.
can say that
On
confidently.
the record, we'd all say that.
Well, good point. No, but I'm saying seriously.
Yeah.
I
Did
couldn't.
you wink?
You're winking at me. I couldn't. Just as a as a human being, I couldn't bring myself to do that.
Wouldn't curiosity lead you to
it's
try it
such
once?
No. It's like,
What about inviting a robot into the relationship?
oh my goodness.
See, there's another.
That's another boundary that I don't know if one should cross. Is that polygamy now?
Not polygamy, but it could be polyamory.
Or even polyamory, yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Don't know why you guys are both looking at me. I'm not saving you.
Do you think curiosity would get you?
Well,
and if
on the
your wi-
record.
And if your wife,
On the record, yeah.
if your wife gave you the green light,
If
Which
my
she
wife
hasn't
gave me
already,
which
by
she
the
has
way.
not. I
Yeah.
would not do it because my wife has not given me the
Sure.
green light, and above all other needs is my need to keep my wife happy.
course.
But if she were to give me the green light, I'd give
Yeah.
it a go. Sure.
yeah,
Yeah.
why not?
I don't want to be the first guy. Like, I'd like to get the kinks worked out. Well, not all the kinks, but
Yeah,
I can't
well,
help myself. I apologize to everybody.
No,
listening.
that's a-okay.
Yeah.
No, I probably wouldn't. I just wouldn't. I don't know. It just seems kind of weird to me. It's just a little bit weird.
For me, I think that there's the two things that you talk about, and these are in like major scientific publications and future, sort of like magazines that focus on the future. Really, I mean, it's interesting stuff because it all comes down to sociology and psychology
That's right.
and the age-old tradition of studying the human brain and behavior, and that's what it is. I mean, it's technology infusing itself into essentially emotion and physicality and expression. I think there's a big difference between the so-called sex robot, which is like a physical entity that you can and would touch, and virtual reality, which is putting on the headset and kind of escaping to that other world, allowing the endocrines and the brain endorphins. I mean, the brain chemistry altered, but physically. You're not physically interacting with anything, if I understand it correctly, other than yourself. So I think two very different conversations, but the same ballpark,
Yeah.
which is technology in the bedroom.
Right. I definitely don't want to be spammed during
No.
bedroom
Imagine
rendezvous.
pop-ups.
Yeah. Well, excuse me.
Thanks for listening to this
50%
week's
off.
edition of The Announcers. If we're allowed to do any more of them, we'll be back next Saturday at 9 a.m. In between now and then, have a great weekend.